Caught my downstairs neighbor, who claimed innocence, secretly banging on my door at odd hours through my security camera footage. So a few weeks ago I moved into my newly purchased top-floor flat in London. The day after I got a knock on my front door, the woman at the door introduced herself saying she had just moved into the building, and I said, "Oh, me too." That is fair enough. It's nice to introduce yourself to your neighbors. Now obviously I'm working from home due to lockdown, so I'm here most of the time. Randomly throughout the day I would hear what would sound like a thump on my door, but whenever I opened it there was no one there. This happened a few times. One time I saw her shortly afterwards and I asked if she had just knocked and she said no. Then one day she did knock whilst I was working. I opened the door and we just had a conversation. She was talking lots of crap and it was difficult to get rid of her, but it became obvious from the conversation that she is renting the flat below and the landlord has illegally subdivided it. My question isn't to do with this. So she is in a tiny flat and she is currently off work because she works security at clubs. So I just thought, she must just be bored and lonely and just needed someone to talk to. Again, absolutely no problem. She mentioned the door of the flat not fitting properly, so having to slam it to close it, which I have since witnessed, so I decided that it must be the sound I kept hearing. Anyway, last weekend I put up my home kit camera above my front door. Complete coincidence, I already had it, just hadn't gotten round to putting it up, after getting permission from the freeholder, and it kept telling me about motion, and when I checked there was nothing. I realized I had it set not to record when I was home, just to stream, so changed it. The camera is clearly visible. Then yesterday when I was out it alerted me to motion by my front door and she was there having a conversation with me. I am not 100% sure what she said, but people I have shown the clip to think, "Steven, can I go now as he's not going to be coming in?" Fuck knows. Anyway, when I got home I knocked and asked her if everything was okay and if she wanted anything. She said everything was fine. I asked if she ever hears me making noise and she said no, she doesn't hear anything, but I said just let me know. Yesterday afternoon at about 13:30 I was sitting on the sofa, headphones on, no sound in the flat, and I got a notification. I checked the camera and it showed her coming up to my front door, slamming the ball of palm of her hands hard against the door, turning around and leaving. I then realized I'd been missing notifications, not quite sure how, all week about motion outside my door, and there were loads of clips of her doing something like this, sometimes just coming up and touching the door and leaving, sometimes just coming up to the door, turning around and leaving. Bit weird but not annoying. I assume maybe some form of OCD, but there were several recordings of her slamming on the door, like at 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning, then at 2 a.m. this morning. Were it not for the weird conversation with no one and the actual banging on the door, I wouldn't be concerned, and would just put it down to a harmless tic or something. As I said, maybe OCD, but the actual slamming on the door is disturbing and now better explains all the previous times I have heard it. Just wanted some advice on what to do. I am trying to catch her in the act, but that is hard as she immediately leaves. I had the camera just showing on my TV for like 2 hours today to try and see her coming. I don't really want to confront her without catching her in the act, since I had already previously asked about the knocking on the door and she said it wasn't her. I am going to keep the recordings and email her landlord, who is annoyingly also the freeholder, ask him not to do anything yet, but just raising it as a concern that he needs to be aware of, but as he is already illegally subdivided I doubt he cares as long as he is getting money. She is clearly unwell. Just wondered if anyone had any other advice on what I should do. I thought maybe contact the police, but I suspect they would tell me just to keep a log for now. I asked a social worker friend who said the most unhelpful thing that is the problem with technology: if you didn't have it you wouldn't even know. Like, yeah, that is true, but that doesn't excuse banging on my door at 4 a.m. Can't remember if it woke me, but next time I wake in night I will check the camera, because it is always literally one knock, so presumably it would wake me and I wouldn't be aware that someone was knocking. Update 1. So I have been keeping the recordings. On the next evening, I contacted the police saying I was concerned about her behavior, not that I was complaining about the nuisance. They advised me to contact Lewisham Environmental Health Office. As it was late I didn't really think about it, but the next day I realized someone was just fobbing me off. What has it got to do with EO? So I didn't bother. Over the next few days, it escalated, becoming more frequent, so I contacted them again only to be told they have noted it down, but there is nothing they can do at this stage but to keep informing them. It continued to escalate that day, getting more violent, link removed /, so I contacted them at 10 p.m. and they said they would report it to the Safer Neighbor team, who would contact me. The next day they turned up, although there was some confusion because even though I have a SE26 postcode which is Sydenham, I am actually in Forest Hill. Looked it up and the boundary literally runs down the middle of the road, so one side is Sydenham, the other Forest Hill. I showed them the footage, including videos at 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. and they agreed that it is creepy and concerning. They asked if I wanted them to speak to her but said it possibly wasn't a good idea until they can report it to the correct neighborhood team, as it may make things escalate further. I agreed. So they gave me the contact details for the Forest Hill team and asked me to email them the videos. Before I got round to it I got a phone call from the team just confirming how to get to the flat. It is a bit of a pita to find, but as I was out I said they may not be able to get in as the front door is normally locked and I am the only one with a doorbell. We agreed that they would talk to her as if there was a concern for her rather than about her. They phoned me back in the afternoon and said they had spoken to her and she seemed normal, if maybe a bit slow. She denied knocking on the door and they said they had seen footage, to which she said she was just knocking to chat, and they told her it was not appropriate at 4 in the morning. At this stage, I think they assumed I was probably someone just complaining about a noisy neighbor and she maybe wasn't very bright and hadn't realized the problem with knocking at 4 in the morning. But they asked me to send them the videos, so I sent a couple of choice highlights like the one above and one of her racing up the stairs doing it and racing back down. I got back the reply, okay, yeah, those videos speak for themselves, don't they? They concluded, like I had, that she was unwell, so referred the case to social services. They advised that maybe she was sleepwalking and that I should maybe get a stair gate for now. I said I didn't want to because I was worried that if she was sleepwalking she may try and climb over and hurt herself, but I would keep it under advisement. Tuesday night she kept me up most of the night, then again Wednesday night. I missed work yesterday due to lack of sleep. At this point I thought, fuck it, I really don't care if she hurts herself now, so brought a stair gate. But I am not an asshole, so did look for one wide enough to go on the landing so that if she fell she wouldn't fall down the stairs, but unfortunately the only one I could find was 4 to 6 weeks delivery, so settled for one on the top of the stairs. I also contacted the officier again to ask if there was any news, and he said once it had been referred it was out of their hands, so he had no idea, but said I might want to report it again and consider a harassment report. I informed the freeholder that I was installing a gate at the advice of the police, and his response was simply okay, thanks. Yesterday I was out at the shop over the road and she came in. She left before me, and after I came out she came running across the road saying she had locked herself out of her flat and could she wait in mine. Obviously there was no chance, so I made up a lie about just doing some shopping then going to a meeting, so I put my shopping away and went out for a walk. By the time I was back someone had come with a key, thankfully. I installed the stairgate last night when it arrived. She didn't knock overnight, but I am 99% sure that is a pure coincidence, as the camera would have caught her coming up the stairs. Literally, as I said this to a colleague, she came up the stairs, climbed over and banged on the door. It slowed her down enough for me to get to the door to confront her, but she just ignored me. A few minutes later she came out and opened the gate. So I went out and put a bike lock on it to see what happened. Half an hour later the camera has her coming out, checking to see if I was there, then realizing there is something on the gate, so examining it. Then when I came out she legged it. That was enough evidence for the police to finally take it seriously. Sleepwalking people don't check to see if anyone is watching them or stop to examine locks, so they are sending someone out today, but said to phone back immediately if she becomes aggressive. She's been back to look at it a few times so far. Exhausting. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to send anyone today as the officer I had been dealing with has to self-isolate, but said someone would be out tomorrow, but if she threatens me or anything, of course, to immediately call 999. Update 2. She came up at just before 1 and just before 1:30 and did the usual thing, although not particularly aggressively. Didn't wake me. All been quiet since. I'll tell you one good thing about the last few days, it has helped reset my sleep schedule, which has been messed up since the first lockdown. Smile, it has certainly been cathartic writing this all down in one place. Been chatting about it with friends and colleagues on WhatsApp etc. for weeks, but having it all written down like this has made me realize just how ridiculous this has all been. So, eventful afternoon. The police came. They knew most of it because they'd seen the videos, but I explained about last night. I also explained how she asked to wait in my flat the other day after locking herself out apparently with a dead phone, and how I went down with a battery so she could power her phone to phone her landlord, and it was magically working all of a sudden, and the officer was like, oh yeah, of course it was. So they went to speak to her, and when I let them out I stupidly locked myself out going to put the lock back on the gate. I normally leave the door lock on the latch when I'm letting someone out or going to check the mail, but obviously I have stopped doing that, but because I hadn't left my keys in the usual place I forgot to pick them up. I have been planning to leave a spare key at the office and with a friend, but of course we've been in lockdown since I moved and that has not happened. Because I was locked out I heard the entire conversation with her. She of course denied it. They said she was harassing her neighbors, banging on the door aggressively at all times of day and night. She said she is the one being harassed by music, but she'd spoken with David, the guy next door to her, and they've come to an arrangement. He is ill, so isn't there, and has people looking after the flat coming in and out at odd times, but he would speak to them and make sure they are respectful. That would explain why I said it seemed like he kept odd hours, and why the one time I saw him he was in a dressing gown at like midday on a Wednesday. She asked to see the so-called CCTV, but they said that they can't do that. So she apparently thinks it is the flat next door. Which means she hasn't noticed the camera. So anyway, they said they are not sure they believe her, but that she is clearly unwell, so they are contacting mental health services and will keep me informed, but to keep letting them know of any incidents, and they may have to take it down the harassment route. I am also not sure I believe that she doesn't know what is going on either, apart from all the other stuff. When I was waiting outside for the locksmith she opened her window and gave me the dirtiest look ever. When the locksmith came, he was asking what lock I wanted as a replacement and I choose the stronger of the three. He said I don't think you need that one here, so I explained why and he was like, what the fuck, that has given me goosebumps and I understand how you managed to forget your key, you must be stressed out. He told me to claim on my building insurance and advised that I get a camera, so I pointed at it. He said there is no way she is getting through the door, so no need to worry about that. So yeah, a £560 bill was not what I was expecting today, but I guess at least I know I now have a good lock. Obviously the visit from the police and the higher gate haven't worked, not that I thought they would. That was a very gentle one, that is what they were all like when it started, which is why I first thought okay, that's a bit odd but harmless, maybe OCD, but obviously it escalated rapidly. Another update. So she did the above again shortly afterwards and then was gone all night. I woke at 6:30 but looking at the camera she was back to banging hard at 6:30 so I guess she woke me. She did the same at 9:30 and then at 11:30 this. Really fucking creepy. Some debate amongst the friends I have shared it with as to what she is saying. Either Steve. Unintelligible. In you or Steve. Unintelligible. Was it you? Sending that one on to the police as that one is really fucking creepy. My mum, who is originally from this part of London, as is the woman downstairs, says she can hear somebody's taken some ink. I said I couldn't and she replied that's cause you've got a posh Sussex accent. Of course it has started again, tonight, so I wanted to see what would happen if there was a noise so I whistled through the camera speaker and well. Watch her reaction. I am sure she knows what is going on now. I think that's it. No more concern for her. It's time to speak to the police about filing charges like they suggested. Update 3. Police are of course on the way. I am sitting here bracing the door. She keeps coming back and knocking saying my name and at least once I didn't do it. Fuck, she just tried to get in. Are you okay? The door downstairs was open. I've called the police. She's gone now. Police are a few minutes away. Steve, can I get you anything? Anything missing? Fucking hell, I keep asking people to lock that door, you know what I mean? Completely fucking off her head. They sure are taking their time. Called straight away at 8 and then again at 8:27 and they were a few minutes away. That was 25 minutes ago. They are here. She is being arrested for criminal damage initially, and it turned out she entered the flat so possibly burglary as well. She was in here for half a minute or so it turns out. Thank fuck she didn't find me if that is what she was looking for. She has been charged and released. What the fuck? I broke out in a cold sweat when they said that. Link removed / barricaded the door in my bedroom door. First time the camera alert goes off and it is straight onto 999. I thought the landlord had moved her stuff out, but it seems not. That must have been people in the other flat moving things around, so I was wrong with this. She is definitely still here. She must have been very quiet coming in. And as nothing happened overnight, this says to me that it was very much deliberate and she knew what was going on. Not that there was any doubt at this stage. I wonder if she thought the camera was fake since the police refused to show her any footage, so she thought it was just her word against mine. Presumably at the station yesterday they showed her, so she knows she is banged to rights. Someone just turned up and I was being nosy. They told her the council have cancelled your accommodation. You need to vacate by 1 p.m. and contact them for alternative arrangement. She is obviously arguing I am not doing anything until I find out what is going on. This ain't right cause of COVID. We'll listen out to what happens at 1 p.m. Update 4. Called 999 as instructed by the officer yesterday and the fucking operator. Why are you calling 999? Cheeky fucking bitch. I don't normally use that language but fuck me. Even after I explained everything and that I had been told to immediately call 999 if she approaches my door by the arresting officer yesterday. Greater than this is a council matter. No it isn't. She broke in yesterday and was charged. I was told to call 999 immediately if she came anywhere near the door. Well, there is no danger. You don't know that. She just walked up and kicked the door in yesterday. Well, she may have broken her bail conditions. Call the station now. On hold with the station as she has probably just broken bail conditions. I am absolutely fuming. Greater than there are no bail conditions. She hasn't done anything wrong. Am I supposed to wait until she breaks in again and attacks me? Well, if she does that, call 999. Are you kidding me? My door isn't even properly fixed yet. When is that being done? Someone is coming to look at it today. Oh, well, she won't be able to get in. Then you did hear that she kicked the door in, right? Well, you'll need to wait until the arresting officer is on duty. When is that? Maybe later today. I don't fucking know what to do. Everyone seems to have washed their hands of it. Wow. Just wow. So the management company just knocked and gave me a new key for the front door of the building. They've changed the lock. They said the council have cancelled her tenancy so aren't paying for her anymore and have basically washed their hands of her. Edit. That isn't quite true. Obviously the council can't do that, but they won't rehouse her until she is made homeless, so have essentially abandoned her here with me until she can be evicted, which will be months. They said, maybe you can phone the police and say she attacked your door again. Then when they come and arrest her we can remove all her stuff and change her locks. Fucking incredible. Obviously I refused. They are waiting around hoping she goes out. Fucking hell, like even if they do that, she is just going to be waiting outside to get back in. What the hell is she going to do when she finds out she can't get back in the building? Jesus fucking Christ. I have also sent a long email to my MP, who turns out to be the Shadow Solicitor General, detailing all of this. Even though she won't be able to do anything in the short term, the attitude of the police surely needs to be investigated. Update 5. Of course was woken up by her continuing to bang at 4 a.m. Not even sure if there is any point calling the police. They clearly don't give a fuck. After telling me she isn't doing anything wrong by knocking when I called the station, 2. Yesterday telling me she's only knocking, get a better lock, to calling 101 yesterday and having been told someone would be out and no one ever arrived. I phoned victim support at 4 a.m. and they have advised me to call back at 8 a.m. once the Lewisham office is open, and they will help me raise a formal complaint about the police starting hammering hard again at 6:55 with both hands like the video in the post. Phoned 101, the operator was incredulous that nothing been done after reading back through the record. Sending someone again, apparently, and is contacting the council, advised me to do so also, which I already planned to anyway. In all the confusion and sleep deprivation I accidentally deleted the video rather than exporting it. Not that it should matter at this stage, and I still have the 4 a.m. update 6. I phoned the Independent Office for Police Conduct at 9 a.m. After 45 minutes on hold, I was finally told just go to our website. Social services didn't want to know either. Just put me through to the community nurse, which seemed to be a single person, so it was just an answer phone, so I've left a pleading message. The nurse called me back. She doesn't seem to be known to them. They have someone with that name. She wasn't even supposed to tell me that, but she is older than this. Woman seems to be, like, significantly older. Like when I said she was apparently a security guard, the nurse said no, it can't be her then. I said she certainly seems like she could have been. She is well built and took the door down in one kick. The nurse's response was Jesus Christ. She was actually quite shocked and genuinely frightened by all the things I described, said there is no way the police should have released her. But of course, once again there is nothing she can do until the police or GP refer her. At this point, I phoned the station back and was ranting about everything which has happened since she was released, how I have been treated badly and told pathetic things like it's just knocking and get another lock, and that the community nurse said there is no way in hell she should have been released. And whilst the operator was typing all of this up, I got an email from the arresting officer, saying he would phone me at 2 p.m. 30 seconds later I got an email from the letting agent saying she had vacated the property, she's gone. I went down to confirm this is true, and it does seem to be the case. Thank Christ for that. I really hope she gets the help she clearly needs, but God, that is a weight off update 7. So of course the arresting officer who was going to call me just after starting work at 1,400 hours never did, for the second time in 3 days. Similarly, after calling 101 in a panic at 7 a.m. as she was pounding on the door like in the original video in this thread, no one has turned up, for the second day running. It is as if they think if they just ignore it then it will go away. I mean, I suppose it has, at least for me, but through no action of theirs. As far as they know, she is still here and still a threat to me. All that is going to happen is she is going to presumably start the whole thing over again elsewhere. I dread to think what might happen. Think I will set up a Google News alert for her name. Thanks, everyone, for your advice and support over the last week. It has been really helpful and comforting. Just getting this all written down has helped me realize just how utterly insane this whole situation has been. I think if you don't write these things down, there is a risk that you start to think you are over-exaggerating. Similarly, when friends and family react, there is a possibility that they may be overly concerned or siding with you since they know you, but when a bunch of strangers are just as concerned about the whole thing, it shows just how scary it was. This weekend I shall definitely be sorting out the complaint to the IOPC, and my friend's wife advised me to still write to the local counselors responsible so that they are at least aware of what has been going on and the police's seeming indifference to it, leaving it a couple of days until I am a bit more level-headed, calmer, and can frame it better rather than just being an angry, frustrated and scared rant. Yes, this is the final update. If I actually hear back from the police I may post again, but at this stage, it doesn't feel at all likely given their response so far. If the CPS decide it is not in the public interest to go to court, or once it has been through court, I will do a new thread just to share the videos of Monday and the time since so that people can see how scary it is. I was rewatching the break-in in the following hour last night, and either she is the world's best actor or the police are utterly insane. It is like two completely different people. Edit: I just noticed that someone gave me a week of Reddit Premium in the last week. Whoever it was, thank you. I have been too preoccupied and sleep deprived to notice. Just got a call from the police. Realized of course the officer who I have been speaking to wasn't the arresting officer, it was the officer who took my statement. Obvious really, not sure why I wrote down arresting officer with my notes on Monday, probably a combination of shock and adrenaline. He said she was charged with criminal damage and admitted it. He has checked the file and was surprised there was no condition on her bail to stay off of this floor. He said it was even filled in badly, so he has already complained to the line manager of the PC in charge of the case. I said about her knocking and telling me to hand over my keys because I'm being evicted, and he replied, yeah, she is clearly crazy. I bit my tongue and stopped myself from saying, so why is no one referring her? Presumably because she admitted it. Anyway, long story short, she is in court in the next 10 days. So that's it. I'll do a final post in a few weeks when / if I know the outcome, and post the other videos. So, it would appear it isn't quite over. She knocked on my door at 9 p.m. I didn't even notice. It was only because when going to bed at 10:30 p.m. I noticed that the landing light was on, in Apple Home, so I looked at the camera and there she was knocking at 9 p.m., knocking like a normal person, except for the fact that she had no reason to be there. So I walked down the stairs to make sure the front door is locked, muttering fucking twats about the people leaving it open, and there she was standing in the entrance to the building in the pitch black, swaying back and forth and completely out of it, not responding. I quickly went back to my flat, called 999, and they were going to dispatch the police and an ambulance, but asked if she was still there. I checked and she was gone. I guess me going back up the stairs snapped her out of it because she must have been there for 90 minutes. Fucking weird. Sent the letting agent of the other flat an email asking them to remind them to lock the fucking door. I have tried asking them and they never answer their door. As said in another comment, my understanding is that the tenant is ill, so isn't there, and his family coming in and out checking on the place. So yet another update. I said I would make a new post after it went to court, but I wasn't expecting it to be within a day of my last post. Well, actually it would have been before it. I received a call from the police today. She was in court yesterday and pleaded guilty. Sentencing is delayed until 10th June because, surprise surprise, she has other ongoing cases. So here are the videos for last week's show. Just how utterly insane it is. Monday, breaking in, link removed / saying she didn't do it, link removed / returning, link removed / trying to get in, link removed / Tuesday, asking me to hand over my keys, link removed / Wednesday, something's broke, link removed / just yeah, no idea, link removed / asking for the door key? Maybe, not sure. This was after the management company changed the lock on the front door, link removed / where are you? Link removed / freezing on the spot outside my door at 7 p.m. Link removed / then on the stairs 20 minutes later. Link removed / Harry, is it you there? Link removed / that is not the first time she mentioned Harry, but sure, let's treat her like she is completely rational. I left a note for the neighbor downstairs about the door. They came up and apologized this evening. Said they didn't realize there was anyone else still living in the building. They thought everyone was moving out and he was the only person left, and he is gone soon. So he had just been lazy and not been locking the door, but will do so now. Also got a reply from my MP, or her office. They have written to the police highlighting the concern for her mental health and also to the local council over the fact that she does not seem to be receiving help. Believe it or not, another update. I received a message from the neighborhood police officer who originally visited my neighbor weeks ago. He was going to advise me to take out an injunction, but in the conversation it became clear he thought she still lived in the building. He obviously couldn't say what, but said something happened on the 23rd, the day after I found her basically in a trance in the entrance of this building days after she had moved out. The police were called and they took her to A&E as she told them she wanted help. Obviously I don't know what happened, but I'm glad to hear that she has asked for help. Hopefully she didn't hurt herself or anyone else and she gets it now. It's sad how difficult it has been to get someone who is obviously experiencing a severe mental health crisis help. I knew acknowledgement of mental health problems was bad in the UK but hadn't realized just how bad. Of course you jinxed it. Smile. She turned up today, rang my doorbell. I went down to the front door and there she was. I nearly didn't open the door, but the letting agent of her old flat was here cleaning and she said she had come to collect the last of her stuff, so I let her deal with her. But like no acknowledgement of what she did or an apology or anything.